everybody, welcome to episode 448 of the Dead Pixels of the Internet with your host Joe
and Lorne.
Yeah, we're back again. Now, ending of July. It's been a crazy week. What's going on in the world, at least today, and at least this couple of days. I hope everyone in Portland is trying to stay safe. If we have any Portland listeners.
Be safe out there, Portland.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Anything for the Chicago Minute? I don't think nothing much has really happened then.
Apparently, supposedly, the government supposed to come down in Chicago, but who knows, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's gonna be weird.
And no, we're not gonna talk about the killings that have been going on in Chicago because that's the thing too.
Yeah.
Seems like almost every day someone's getting shot. Yeah. And people be like, Chicago's a violent capital. It's like, no, there's only one part Chicago is violent. There's only pockets, not the whole Chicago scene. Just one particular section. And because it's lawless over there. It's just lawless. Yeah. That's the only thing you can say is it's just a lawless situation.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that.
Anyway, you just have to stay safe.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Stay safe. Don't be like, oh, let's go to a trip to here. Just like it's not necessary. It's not necessary to go over there. Yeah. Not. Just be safe, people. That's all we could ask. Safety is key.
So what happened also was Xbox displayed their, I guess, keynote, if you would want to call it that. And they were
it's like the same thing Sony and like Nintendo doing.
Nintendo did one too, but it was like really, really small. There was like they barely mentioned anything in there.
Well, of course, it's Nintendo. They keep it fresh.
They were like, here's WWE 2K21 Battlegrounds. I'm like, huh? Okay, sure. And they're like, oh yeah, Shin Megami Tensei is not gonna be on the Switch 3.
Yep, and everybody lose their mind.
You a fan of the Shin Megami Tensei games?
I'm a fan of the Shin Megami Tensei games of Persona.
Okay.
Because that's what's originally is. If you look at the original Persona games, it's Shin Megami Tensei Persona.
Yeah.
Then they just decided to branch off like, oh, it's just Persona. It's just this Persona game. So like, okay, cool. But no, like the Shin Megami Tensei series is very good series. It's just more hard. No, it's harder than like any other ones. It's like playing I guess it's like playing Fire Emblem, but more painful.
Isn't the meme with that also like featuring Dante from Devil May Cry? That was like one of the.
That was part. I think that was three or four. I think it was one of those ones that had Dante in it. It was Dante for Devil May Cry 2.
Yeah, that was a fun
It was that Dante, and also he was like overpowered as hell too.
Well, yeah. So they announced. Well, they showed the thing for Halo. Infinite. And people were dogging on Halo Infinite.
On Halo, which is like, oh my god, it looks worse. It's not just like, okay, it's like you're not even sure how far it's running and everything else. And also like we live in a pandemic, guys. Just like let's be serious, let's be real. Everything else, it's like they can change up the graphics when they want.
I don't think it looks bad. I mean, it looks very almost similar to Halo 1. At least like when you do the remastered version of Halo 1. And then they keep showing the brute or whatever, his face. Yeah. I see that now a lot. I'm like, okay, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, I know it definitely could look better, but it looks, for me personally, like I have
serviceable. It looks like a Halo game. Only thing I have to say, looks like a Halo game. That's all I say. Looks like a Halo game to me.
People have a lot of history with that, though. For me, it's like, I have the same thing with Halo 1, 2, and 3. I played a lot, and then when Reach and 4 and ODST came out, that's when I was like, I'm not playing these one as much. And Guardians too. I don't know what the hell was up with Guardians.
Finish the fight, right? Is that the one?
That was part 3.
Oh.
Yeah, that's I remember that.
I thought it was 5 was 4 was something like the whole.
No, actually. Part 4 for me, I was just like, I didn't even bother. I mean, I played it, and I remember, I think, finished it. Weirdly enough, like, I played those for the campaign for the most part, but I was so done playing Halo by the end of part 3. I was like, I had my fun with it. I've had the good times. I've had a LAN party. It's the first time I ever had, like, a LAN party with Halo 1. It was cool. It was fun. Playing online was, like, such a huge thing for part 2 and 3 for me. Me and my neighbor John, we just go into the long nights playing Halo 2 and 3, and it's like, so it's gonna be like, it feels like it should be back to those old days when I'm playing Halo, but it's like, I don't know, man. This looks cool enough, but if they keep it normal without having like loadouts and all that stuff, that's what I hated when they introduced that in like I think it was around like either 4 or even Reach. They were like, oh, you can have the assault loadout with the assault rifle, or you can have this loadout with the snipers. I'm just like, nah, I don't like that. I like it when everyone.
They was going for Call of Duty type of vibes.
Yeah, I know.
That's what the loadouts is all about now. Call of Duty.
Yeah, I like
it will continue on being that trend, by the way. So nothing's gonna change.
But if they keep it back to their normal, what it looks like they're doing now, like if they want to keep it like the pristine Halo, it's just you just have. Everyone has an assault rifle, and then you just go to certain spots for pickups, like an Unreal Tournament type of thing. If they do that, then that'd be cool, because we don't know yet. Like whatever happens with that.
Yeah. Also, it's gonna probably be a battle royale. Come on, you know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
A battle royale, Halo battle
Most
royale.
likely it's gonna be. But yeah, so the people are going on about that, but I was like, we'll see how it goes on, because they were, again, there's no price point for the Xbox Series.
There's no price point for any console.
So no one knows at this point.
Yeah, just like there's no price point for any console, so everybody like, freaking out like, oh well, how much like the Xbox will be, or how much like the new PlayStation is going to be, and then you get people like, oh well, it's going to be a little bit higher or a little bit lower, or this version will be a little bit more cheaper, and just like we just don't know. We're playing guessing games around, like, okay, well, we just going to keep guessing until
they actually
make an announce. Like
the month
before.
Be
like PlayStation, are you gonna make your announcement? No, I'm not gonna make my announcement. Are you gonna make an announcement? No, man.
Yeah.
It's just like it's this close to holiday season. Like you think about it, like pretty much next month will be like pretty much. I'm just counting this. Next month will be September.
Oh, you don't even count
huh?
You're just like, oh, we're already in August. Forget about the rest of the days of July.
Yeah, no, I'm just pretty much just like, if you want to break it down, we still don't know the price point of these consoles.
Yeah.
Because everybody's afraid of like pretty much everyone's not sure of what's going to happen in the near future. But like, hey, will there be a next console? Hey, there's games announcing for these next consoles, but price point? Nah, man, we don't have that yet.
Well, if they don't mess it up by like, oh, we're announcing it's $600 at launch point, like the PS3. Maybe.
Well, I think it's going to be that much, man, for all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
just like all that stuff, and also it just seems like it's not getting the consumers ready to buy. Granted, it'd be like, hey, there's supposed another stimulus check supposed to come out. If you ever heard about that news, and I'm just like,
something.
I'll be like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Yeah. I don't care for it. Like, look, man, I work 2 jobs, so I'm pretty much just like, I am like, ugh. That's the only thing I have to say. I am right now. Ooga bunga. That's what I'm all about. Like, ooga bunga. I said, if you give me another stimulus check, you know what? I'm pretty much going to use that to pay bills and maybe find myself a new tattoo.
A new tattoo.
Yeah, and that's complete my half sleeve. That's it. It's just like, like what you did with your last stimulus check. I pay my bills. I pay bills and pay my rent. That's what I did with my last stimulus check. Pay bills and pay rent. There's nothing like, oh yeah, man, I'll get me a fancy car or this and that. Like, no. I just pay bills because that's what I do with money like that. I pay my bills, son.
Didn't they say like, oh yeah, we might be gearing towards another shutdown? That's what they say.
Another shutdown?
Around the rumor mill. But I don't know. I feel like
another government shutdown. Like, okay, what y'all got shut down for?
I don't know. I'm just more like, I don't see what's gonna happen next time. Well, by September when they say like, oh, we gotta open the schools. Like, that's not a smart idea.
Well, certain schools is pretty much just doing remote learning.
Yeah, but they're still pushing it for like, oh, we gotta actually have it open with kids inside schools. I'm like,
for the kids because of parents and all this stuff. But like, well, you cannot because also unless like I know certain high schools they're gonna do like, hey, you have to do learning like online. So once you use those high school spaces for like the grammar school kids, spread the kids out. That'd be much easier, much simple.
I guess so. Everyone's in an auditorium.
because think about average high school. Average high school is pretty big, and the classrooms are pretty big as well. So
not my high school. My high school was really shitty.
Your high school is high school is pretty big compared to a grammar school.
Comparing to my grammar school to my high school, I think like my grammar school is a little bit bigger. That's what I feel. I had a struggle school days.
Okay, hold on. What? Let me slow this down. So, think about like grammar school kids. You can spread them out a little bit more. There's a lot of classroom in a normal high school than a regular grammar school.
I just don't think we should be going to schools regardless of what other schools are. You know?
Well, at least I understand like your logic of pretty much not going to schools, and like trust me, my daughter's doing online classes as well. But I'm just pretty much for the people who cannot like pretty much leave their kids on like at home by themselves because they are like pretty much working moms and dads whatnot. So they need like someone to pretty much like, hey, can you like send my kids to school and everything else. I'm just thinking how like the classrooms in the high school is much larger than a grammar school class. That's what I'm trying to get across to you.
Yeah, I know, but my thing is maybe not do any of that. That's my thing.
Even may not do any of that, but it's just like what are the other options are.
We go on hold until 10 years from now.
Yeah, and then the youth be stupid as fuck.
No different than what it is right now. Got him. Anyways, it's like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, going on with more of the Xbox stuff. So they showed what do you call it? The new Don't Nod games. If you follow them, they make the what do you call it? Life is Strange, and they're making a new one called Tell Me Why, which. Looking back at it now, I think the only good one they made was Life is Strange 1. I mean, I don't even consider it good. It was alright. There was still a lot of weird moments in that game. Part 2, I think, like, I don't know if I liked it as much, but I still finished it. It's just weird. And now they're making a new one, which I'm just like, it's called Tell Me Why, and tell me why I should buy this game. I mean, the thing is, the great part about this is all the stuff they talked about is like going to be included day one on release on Game Pass, which is their, saving grace in all this. And if you wanted to play that game, you can pre-install it right now. At least I remember seeing that on like the Game Pass. It's like, oh, you can. That's what's cool about that. Like, oh, you can pre-install the games. You can just wait until the date, and then, boom, it's already on there.
Yeah, like the Grounded one, you can pretty much pre-install as well too.
Yeah, and that looks okay, but I'm just like, I was like, this looks a lot like Honey and I Shrunk the Kids.
Well, that's what it is. It's pretty much that.
Yeah, that's true. And I like that at least they had a joke in their trailer, which was like, if you want to play the most anticipated game, wait for Cyberpunk 2077. I'm like, huh. That's a good joke. Because it's made by Obsidian, the guys who made, the original Fallout games and Outer Worlds is getting a DLC pack. At least that's what it looks like, or at least expansion.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it is, because that was such an underrated game last year. You know, people kind of slept on that. People at least who had Xbox were like, "Hey, we got to play," but people who have Switches and PS4s were like, "Oh, we'll pay for the whole thing." I guess. They showed like only like 2 minutes of Hellblade 2, which to me I'm just like, damn, they really did not show anything else. And we're like, we're working on Hellblade 2. The only thing we can tell you is in Iceland. There you go. Go have a good rest of the Xbox thing. I'm just like, really? That's it? You're not gonna show anything else about it? Okay, sure.
Well, you can't show any. Well, how they can show anything about it if we still on lockdown? If they're still quarantined? So it'd be like, we was work on it, but we want to work on it so much.
Well, I'm more like, if they would have just kept it off, if they didn't have anything else to show, they shouldn't have just showed anything.
Well, a lot of people be talking about it. A lot of people be wanting to know about it. So that's why I say some of these games is pretty much like some of these games will be suffering from like pretty much like quarantine hell because of certain like the situation, and a lot of people be asking for it, and then I guess that game is canceled, or they have a certain like time frame to have that game released because it's contracts. And also your favorite time, you look people when they crunch games and make the games like pretty much sometimes unbearable and not good to play. So it's just like, hey, watch those numbers crunch.
I don't know about that. I never said anything about it. I like the crunch.
Yes, you did. You said earlier that you like crunch.
Yeah, the crunch bars. I don't know what you're talking about. You're just, I don't know. I think if you check your ears, you're like, crunch games, not the crunch of the bars. Bunch of crunch. I don't know what's going on. But they also showed Psychonauts 2, which I have part 1 on the Xbox One, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'll ever play that game because it looks like it takes a long time to play, and games from the 2000s really don't translate well into nowadays. But who knows? Maybe it's still good. That's the thing. But that's also one of the ones that is very like anticipated because people love the first Psychonauts. They also love Tim Schafer, the guy who made it, and also Jack Black singing the main theme song. That's the only thing I saw from that. Where I was like, oh hey, it's Jablinski Games. That's cool. Destiny 2 is still around, and they're doing another expansion pack, and it's gonna go free on the thing.
Game Pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just like, Destiny 2. Holy crap, they're still around.
Yeah, of course. I think Bungie is under Bungie. They're not under no other branch. So yeah. I know Bungie's just pretty much like saying something like, yep, we still around. We still here, boys.
Then they showed a Stalker, which I have not seen anyone mention anything about Stalker in a long time either. I'm just like, Stalker, I remember that. I think I had that. I have that on my Steam, but I never played it or finished it. Stalker Clear Sky is like one of those like it's kind of like Metro, and like it's a super hardcore survival shooter type game, and that's cool if you like that. But it's not my thing. They have Tetris, another Tetris game coming out. Tetris.
Yep.
3. No, I don't know.
I think Tetris something, but it looks interesting.
Yeah.
The colors look nice.
And then the last thing they ended on was Fable, which it's not.
Oh no, you forgot Medium.
Medium? Oh, yeah, probably the Medium or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's gonna be optimized for the X. I like that. I mean, that looks alright. I want to see how that. I want to see how it.
Two different type of people, or 2 different versions of the game.
Yeah, you can play like the otherworldly one or the current worldly one. I'm like, okay. But yeah, Fable, as I was saying before.
Oh, you forgot to mention what's this place? Forza Horizon.
Forza.
Not Forza. Yeah, Forza. The new Forza. When Jay wants to say, is it a remaster one? I was just like, no, it's just probably the new version of Forza. It's not like, oh, Forza, which number we on? Like 8? Like 7, 8 something?
Well, then there's also the Horizon, which is on its own number.
Yeah.
But yeah, they should just probably do it like, just
the
Forza. Yeah, just the new Forza. Or, you know.
Yeah.
Forza.
So, and then people thinking the new Fable game is a remaster of the first one.
That's what people think now, only because there's no, like, you know, subtitle for it.
Number, yeah.
Or, yeah, number. And it's not by the same guy who made it, Pierre Molyneux, or Lionshead Studios, or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's, to me, it's kind of weird. It's like, oh, he just they completely, like, yeah, he's not part of this.
Also, when I saw it, just like, Fable for me was,
I played all 3 Fables. They're okay. They were decent enough games. Part 1 was at least somewhat cool because they were doing the whole thing of like, hey, guess what? You can be evil or good, and you know that was like one of the hit selling things of like those early games. Like you can do 2 paths.
Yeah, well, that was like the Mass Effect deal, right?
Back in those days, wouldn't have been Knights of the Old Republic, or?
Yeah, it was Knights of the Republic. So yeah, it was like who made Knights of the Republic?
What's that? BioWare.
BioWare. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It was pretty much like the whole BioWare kick. It's like, hey, we determine good or evil, this and that, and be like, okay. Yeah. You know, like Sith Lord or like what's the face?
Jedi,
yeah. And if anyone asks, yes, I want a remaster of Star Wars Knights of the Republic for the next gen.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't. Just
retell the different stories and like pretty much just like, hey, guess what? Just make it better. And also, if you ask me, what about the MMORPG? No one plays that game. I don't want no MMORPG of that game. That game was a butcher. I think I had that game for PC. It was free, and I think I tried to download it. And I think I tried to download it on my laptop many moons ago, like on my old laptop. And I was like, oh, I never played PC games before, and I would not continue playing PC games. Oh, here's your Chicago Minute. Huh? Well, outside Chicago Minute. Ignite is back, baby.
Oh, yeah, I got them for that too. I'm more in the thing of like, wow, Ignite is back. That'd be so fun to go back to that thing right there. But it's, again, I'm just cautious. I'm like, I don't know, kind of don't trust all that stuff, right? But who knows? Maybe they have some extensive like cleaning procedures, but they gotta clean a lot then. You know,
well, of course.
All the people touching.
Well, and also, it's not everything will be so spaced out, so.
Yeah, they have like 5 computers at a table. Now you can only do like 1 computer.
Like 1, but it'd probably be like 2, like 1 on the other side from each other.
I guess so.
So, but I went to a kind of like a thing on Saturday.
A thing?
Yeah, I went to hang out with my friend, right? Because it was her birthday. Her birthday is coming up soon. Her birthday is tomorrow, actually. So, I went to hang out, and I went to a place, and like Edison Park. You know, there's no there's no outdoor patio thing, and it was just a bunch of people there, and I did kind of feel like, man, this is kind of nerve-wracking, kind of, but it was like 6 feet, like the place like a little bit like spread apart, but I was just like, man, this is a lot of people. A lot of people in this hot spot, and I'm just like, oh boy. And my friend just like, do we like hug, handshake? I'm like, look, it's fine with me, I work in the Publix or whatever.
It's already too late.
And I'm already too late. If this is a hot spot for someone, this is a hot spot for someone. And the waiters and like the staff was wearing masks and everything else. And pretty much we was eating, pretty much, of course, and I had my mask off. But when we got out the place, I had my mask on. But yeah, that's why I was like, okay, this is kind of a little bit.
Was that the first time you've ever been into the public, at least in a public restaurant? Ever since then?
I had to say the second, because like my birthday was Coomer's.
Oh, right, that's right. I forgot you went to
But
Kuma's
that
that
was
time.
like a little bit more smaller
Yeah, that was like.
compared to compared.
Was there many other people during that time when you were there, or was it just you and like your friend?
It was like a few other people there. I had to say at least a good like 10 to 15.
Oh, okay.
But it was like groups of people together.
I see.
But it looked like it was like more. But that's what I'm trying to think. Like, like with that, I had to say at least good like 30 plus people was there.
Yeah, it feels weird to go into like public restaurant stuff because yeah, you still have to wear. I mean, I did that too because I went to like a outdoor like Japanese restaurant thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and they take your order and all that stuff, and you still gotta eat it. So it's like I still gotta take my mask off. I can't eat it under this thing, unless you can. You're that pro, you know. Just eat it
But
through
yeah,
its culture too. Yeah, go on.
it just felt so weird because I was like, oh man, this is a lot of people. Because you just like somewhat like second guess yourself, like, man, this is a handful of people or anything else. And my friend was just talking about like how she like pretty much get tested and like pretty much like she had like the nose thing.
Oh.
And
Ow.
like yeah. I was just like, well, that kind of sucks. She's like, yeah, it did.
It
But
did and it does.
but for me, I look at certain situations like, man, I'm not even sure if I do get sick. I would not even know if I am getting sick because my allergies acts up like during the summertime.
Hmm.
When when I get sick, I'm like, man, I feel like get in there and just be like, well, I'm not getting no symptoms of like pretty much a corona, but corona affects like COVID affects people in different ways. Usually, pretty much it'd be like, hey, shortness of breath or like hard to breathe for like lungs. But I just say, but my when I get like allergies, I get like sore throat, my nose feel like runny a little bit, like all this stuff here. I'm just like, okay, so I'm just a different phase of corona if like corona is like contracting it, or pretty much it'd be like, hey, mine is not severe as like other people. I just probably get like a common cold or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of things come in play, but like, well, how do I trust if I'm like pretty much getting sick or pretty much already have it and just been in my system for quite a while?
Yeah, you won't know
like,
until there's 2 weeks is up, and then
Yeah, 2 weeks is up. Well, pretty much it'd be like a couple days. So do I just take the fear? Pretty much take cold medicine. Just be like, okay, for sure. Like, hey, cold medicine will work. I'm guessing if I'm like getting sick or not getting sick. So it's just like the things you think about when you like, okay, well, allergies here. Got my allergies on. Okay, cool. What can I like prevent to get my allergies? Okay, take allergy medicine. Okay, cool. But then people be like, well, why you taking allergy medicine? You got corona? Like, no, allergies, man. Allergies acted up. Well, blah, 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 blah. Just like, I don't know. My body's weird like that. If like, for example, like, I can't stop the pollen.
You can't stop it.
I'll be like, yeah, sure. Let me have the pollen to stop being like in the air, and I can just live in a bubble.
I luckily don't have allergies. I mean, I think it only struck me once, and that was it, which to me was very weird. I'm just like, what the hell? I never have allergies, and then I started like, my nose like, it felt like I was about to sneeze almost every minute, but I couldn't, and I was like, what the hell is that? It might have been just a specific pollen was in the air.
Yeah.
But it never happened again. I can go outside, breathe in air, feel fine.
Well, for me, it's like I get allergies a lot, like dandelions. If there's a high count of dandelions, that affects me. If I go into a dandelion field, like, oh, why would I go in dandelion field? Just because it's whimsical. Like, no, never go, like, and dandelions, like, pretty much, like, different pollens and stuff is in the air, then I'll be like, okay, it's a big effect for me.
Yeah. But also in news, I just saw, X-Play. They said they're coming back.
Yeah, and also the wrestler, G4 is supposed to come back.
It's a weird time. Like, wow. I know I don't have G4. I know it's not G4 anymore. But
the wrestler Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed, wants to be a part of the G4 cast.
I don't know if G4 is just gonna be like a YouTube channel or something, because I don't think it's gonna be on TV. If it is, then that's cool. But what channel are you gonna be on? I mean, X-Play at least. It's a Spike.
Well, I think it can be on a channel. It just be like one of those like random channels.
I think it's mostly. I think it should be on YouTube, because that's where people want to get their video game news, anyways. Because it was kind of cool, like back in the day. Because you want to be like, I wonder what they think of this game. Because video game reviews weren't as like prevalent on at least on TV. Because you weren't seeing them on TV. You weren't seeing them on there. I mean, you still don't see video game reviews on TV.
Well, it'd probably be on the app, most likely.
Yeah, that is true. But I don't know if they're gonna get Adam Sessler or Morgan Webb. Or the first girl. I forgot what her name was, but she was there before Morgan Webb, and I don't know what happened to her, but she gone.
Well, I think they could get Adam Sessler. Adam Sessler is not doing nothing.
Yeah, he was a cool guy. I at least thought about his opinions, like, oh, I understand why he doesn't like this game, why he thinks this game's bad, something like that.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure, like, all those people, like, I'm pretty sure when I see Attacker, only person who is pretty much had a somewhat successful career after G4 was Olivia Munn.
Wasn't Chris Hardwick also on that too, or?
Chris Hardwick. Do you really want to mention Chris Hardwick?
I don't know. It is weird to think, like, there was that controversy thing about him, but I don't know. No one talks about him anymore.
Chris Hardwick was kind of successful when he had like he was on the MTV show.
Yeah,
long time ago.
Yeah.
But then you have to think about, like, okay, well, Chris Hardwick was like a small bit. But I'm talking about as Olivia Munn, compared to Olivia Munn and Chris Hardwick, that's like apples and oranges, my dude. Like, Chris Hardwick was famous for pretty much being on like talking shows, like after like The Walking Dead or Talking Bad or all that stuff. It was good, but Olivia Munn was pretty much in Hollywood and dated was pretty much the high is the high, despite of her acting ability being like
actual acting.
Actual acting, everything. She just had a cute face type of vibe.
I guess.
No disrespect to Olivia Munn, but it's just like Olivia Munn is like, there's certain roles with her you kind of be like, it's forgettable. It's like, oh, I forgot she was in like the new Predator movie.
She was also in the X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, but really in her, it seemed like her character was useless in that. It seemed like it was her excuse to pretty much be in like spandex.
That was pretty much it.
Like, she could be Psylocke. That's super cool. And that's, Psylocke was just standing there looking moody and cute.
But then again, part 3 was also just a big disaster, anyways. So I don't fault her for being in that movie.
And you know who Olivia Munn was in X-Men 3 Apocalypse? She was pretty much Moody Blues. She was just there, just like, oh, Moody Blues, the best stand with that best ass. That's what Olivia Munn was in that movie. Like, do you even hear her talk in that movie?
From what I remember, yes. But then again,
like
I don't know.
Only like a few lines.
They have the X-Men. I think they have First Class and Apocalypse on Disney Plus. They just put the X-Men movies on there now.
Yeah, but I think they are not mentioning Apocalypse. They mention the other one, the popular one, the Days of Future Past.
But yeah, you can see it on there. Also, right now, what I'm seeing on YouTube right now, we're getting the new games with Plus, PlayStation Plus.
Who got PlayStation Plus still?
I do. For me, it's like, oh yeah, I bought the year for like $30, so
it's still going on for $30.
Yeah, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. I don't know what that is. It's a party game apparently, And Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the campaign, that's free. So we had what do you call it?
Really? That's not bad.
Yeah. So we had World at War, not World at War, World War 2, like 2 months ago, and now it's another Call of Duty game. So they're just loading you up with Call of Duty games. Like, here we go. These are pretty much gonna be irrelevant in a while once the new consoles come out. They choose what to do with their Call of Duty.
Well, no, not really. If there's backwards compatibility, it would not be like
If people still play Black Ops 4.
Well, yeah, people still play backwards. People still playing Call of Duty games, which I have to say is, I'm still curious of what's the new Call of Duty game going to be.
They said that the leak is, it leaked on a Doritos bag, which is the most Call of Duty thing ever. Someone said, but they said like, oh, Call of Duty Cold War. I'm just like, okay.
I would not be surprised if they lean towards a Cold War.
Yeah, it's been a weird thing for them because they were like, oh yeah, Black Ops 4 is out, but then also if you want to just play a free multiplayer version of it, we also have, Warzone.
Well, no, because Warzone was I thought Warzone was part of
it was part of Modern Warfare. Yeah.
Yeah, it was part of Modern Warfare. So the remastered Modern Warfare was the newest one. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was like the old one.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
That was with Ground War.
Ground War. Yeah, with the
with the first multiplayer one, yeah.
And apparently that was like the best version of Battle Royale out there. I'm just like, okay. I'm not even.
Well, I seen on the Warzone. Warzone is not too bad. There's some jank towards it, but I think it's more better than like Ground War.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see about that because that's they're still like, yeah, there it is, Warzone and all that stuff.
Yeah, and Call of Duty is pretty much this king of like pretty much of battle royales now. Like, no one really talked about the like Fortnite like that much. It's not getting that much hits. There's still people. I think people now either you go with like battle royale stuff now, or pretty much like multiplayer, like pretty much like 6-on-6 or 5-on-5 multiplayer, like the whole what's that game called? Overwatch. Yes. Wow. Remember that was a thing.
Overwatch 2. I don't even know what's going on with that one right there. And they keep saying like, oh yeah, it's coming out. Like, are you sure? We've been hearing about this for quite some time, and
I don't see Overwatch as being attractive no more. I still see like freaking the other game, Apex Legends, someone comes out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But like Overwatch, I don't see no traction towards that game at all anymore.
I don't even know if they're doing a summer thing right now. They probably are, because they used to be doing that for like the past like 4 years. There's like, oh, here's a new summer event. I mean, I'm still subscribed to the Overwatch YouTube thing, and then they come up and be like, oh, here's our new seasonal thing, and I'm just like, I didn't see anything for the past couple months on that channel. So I'm like, are they still doing anything on that channel? I should check. They're still like, oh yeah, here's a new costume now for this guy. Oh, here's a special 2-month only thing where you can, if you win these many matches, you get this special emote or something like that. And I'm like, wow, I remember that. It was still on there. They did so much things though. I'm just like, what the hell's going on in this game? I should probably like
a $300 game
I should pop it in just before my gold expires, so I can be like, yes, the old school. Then like, I should just smurf in that game. I don't know, just to go back into basics. Like, I want to go start like a new account and then like just play under like with low. I'm pretty sure everyone also smurfing on that too, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah. But I was going to say, I didn't renew my Xbox Live Gold at all.
So you didn't renew both the Plus and the Gold?
No.
Oh, okay. I mean,
pretty much.
I think about it now. I literally almost never play multiplayer anyways on Xbox Live anyways. I just like, I like Game Pass more as a thing.
Yeah, I still got Game Pass, so Game Pass is still active. But like, for
Like
Xbox Live.
the last couple of games with gold have been like, what is this?
Yeah, it'd be like there's
Giving
no
us
really
nothing.
purpose of getting a game for like getting Xbox Live on Gold no more. Also, they canceled the yearly subscription.
Yeah, that is weird to me.
So it's like it's only 3 months, either 3 months or like 6 months.
Yeah, that's like very strange for me. I'm just like, wow, that thing was pretty much like a big part of like the Xbox brand, you know. 12 months of gold, $60. Sometimes you'll get for $40 during Black Friday. Speaking of Black Friday, Walmart says they're gonna close on Black Friday for the first time in a long time. And
okay, yeah, sure.
Kind of crazy to me, only because like the biggest one, because that they probably were like, yeah, we're not gonna be open that, you know, with the prices like that, and also have that many people in our stores during this time.
I hear what I think. What people going to do? They gonna be pretty much like that Wednesday. They go probably make it to a week event.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about that too for like the past like couple of years, which is like I think they should just make Black Friday into like a whole week, which is like you come in whenever you want,
or 2 weeks,
or that or at least 2 weeks. And then that's what happened anyways. We went to Target. Remember, we were just like, I wonder if they're selling. And they show like, oh, they're selling all these PS4s already at the Black Friday price. They're selling all these controllers already at the Black Friday price. I'm like, oh, cool. I want every other thing to be in that price, so that way I don't have to come here, on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. But that Target you went to was a different beast, so they decide to do whatever they want.
They're like, what do you think we are? Those other ones, we're our own thing.
We our own business, son.
But also, speaking of games, Mind Control Delete Superhot is a game I've been playing too.
Yeah.
Did you get your code?
I got my code, yes.
Okay, cool. So, what they did with this one is, it's cool that you've already bought it. It's free, so.
Yep.
Because Superhot originally was like $30. It was pretty expensive.
No, I paid $20.
Well, originally, when it first came out, I remember that I was like, wow, that's pretty expensive for a game. But then yeah, you through sales or whatever. So if you're lucky to get it on sale, you got this game for free.
Yeah.
And I like what they did with it, because it's very arcadey. They've made this into like its own thing. So they added a lot more weapons, a lot more throwing items, and a lot more variables. So yeah, like it's like a gauntlet. So
you got hearts now apparently, right?
Yeah. And that's kind of cool. So yeah, you have to like either go through like the 6 levels, and they'll give you like little bits of like upgrades in between. Like, oh, not every time now you punch a bullet, it flies back at them, or you get this hack, and every bullet you shoot bounces off the walls. Now I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like that. And then you just play the game like that. You're building up these things, and you get after you get to the 6 whatever levels, it'll like, oh yeah, you finished this part. Now I go to the next, gauntlet of things, and I like that. That's really fun. It was really fun and innovative that they've done something like this, because yeah, there were not that many like actual weapons inside like the first Superhot. There's like the pistol, the shotgun, the AK, and then like
assault rifle. Yep.
Yeah, and there's like a bunch of other little tiny things you can pick up and throw. But now they have like a bunch more like, you have like actual cool throwing knives and stars and all that stuff. Like I like stuff like that. It mixes up the gameplay a lot. And there are some enemies that you can't kill, which is really cool. I'm just like, oh, you just got to completely avoid him because he's like a glitch in a system. And I like how they're trying to still do like a weird trippy type of vibe to
story.
Yeah, of stuff like nothing matters anymore. Everything you just want more. More is nothing. It's that type of like game story.
But we looking for more. There's nothing here.
Yeah, and they do trippy stuff like, oh, who's this? Is this supposed to be you, or something like that? If you remember that from the first Superhot. I guess I like little tiny stupid things like that. I was like, it's fun right there. And you just punch him to death, like, ha ha ha. I'm the one.
You destroy yourself.
Yeah,
good job.
But yeah, I'm really glad for this game. It's a very it's fun still. It's the 3rd installment, they say, and I know because like Superhot VR is apparently like one of their second game in the game canon, if you want to say it like that.
Yeah.
And I do want to play Superhot VR too, but that means I'd have to get like the PlayStation VR or something, or go on the Vive or wherever.
Yeah, but I heard that game, the Superhot VR is really, really good.
Yeah, I know, it looks really good. But yeah, this is a game that if you're lucky enough to buy it during a time, it's like a Shovel Knight expansion, which is like it's a whole new game and you get it for free if you've already bought the entire thing. So I'm just kind of curious to see like where. I hope these guys make something else cool in the future because
well, it's a super hot team, so who knows, right?
Yeah, I know. It's also I like that it's a fun concept. Like when time moves whenever you do, or if you don't move, at least it moves very very slowly. What I also didn't like about the first Superhot when I played it is you couldn't pause the game. At least not in the way if you wanted to. Because like let's say if you were like, I don't know, phone rang and you had to go get it. If you pause it, it would just completely quit out of the game and go back into the menu. I'm just like, what, really?
Yeah, why not?
Because some people had to pause. I'm just saying, like, yeah.
Well, no pause, fam.
But you can pause now and Mind Control Delete, which is really cool. But yeah, it's a good game.
There's no pause in Superhot.
Except for Mind Control Delete. But Links Awakening is also a game I just finished on the Switch. That game is good. I liked it. But after playing games like Breath of the Wild, it's kind of weird to be like, oh, that was, not as big as I expected. But then it's like, but this game was made for the Game Boy. To think about it.
Yeah, it made for the Game Boy. It was a remake.
Yeah, I like the look of it. It's very nice, but I think they either underutilized it because there's still a lot of like slowdown in the game. If you enter an area and then like you go from inside to outside, the frame rate drops like really bad, and then like it starts up and it's good again, and it happens like quite a bit in this game. Other than that, it's still a Zelda game. Apparently taking place in between part 1 and part 2 of the Zelda lore.
Whatever that timeline is.
whatever they choose it to be. But yeah, the controls are pretty simplified for the most part, because like you only had like 2 buttons on the Game Boy, but they made it more like, oh, it's a lot easier now to switch. All that stuff.
Switch, click.
Yeah, and this is it's a good entry. If you've never played it before, I suggest like if you just played it, with an open mind. If the only game you ever played before that was like Breath of the Wild, and you think that's what all Legend of Zeldas are gonna be, you're gonna be pretty disappointed.
Yeah, just think it's Link to the Past.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But there's like a lot of moments, since it is like an older type of game, or I'm just like, I don't know where to go. Like I know I got this power, but I don't know where to go with this exact power. So there's sometimes I had to like go online and look like, where do I go now? I'm not entirely sure. Or if they give you like hints, but the hints are kind of like not as clear as they should be. They're like, oh, go to where the water hits the falls. I'm like, the waterfall? You go there, like, no, not this. And then we little did realize, oh, it's another type of thing. You mean to go underground? You gotta fall in the water. I'm like, oh, well, if I was alive back then and didn't know what the hell to do inside, the Game Boy thing, I'd be like, I don't know where to go. The Game Boy times. Probably have to go to like Nintendo Power or something.
Yep.
Strategy guide. The old strategy guide. Remember those?
Yep, I sure do.
Oh man, the Prima guide. It's like, oh, you get the one for Red Dead, and it's like, oh, look at this. I'm like the master of this game now. Now you can just like look online for all that stuff, which is really funny to me. But guess what? The newest hottest game out right now for people
to
play.
What is it?
It's a Ghost of Tsushima. So yeah, I've been playing this game a lot for the past like 2 weeks. It's a very
2 weeks.
It's a very full game. There's a lot to do in this, just like Assassin's Creed. At least the most recent Assassin's Creeds. Yeah, there's like little bits on the map where you can go to, like, oh, I know what this thing is. Oh, okay, that's what that is. All right, moving on. I will say this though, I really, really like this game a lot. only due to the fact that this is like the Assassin's Creed samurai ninja game that people have wanted for a long time. You know. And I'll go with a couple of negatives first. For me, the story is kind of like, okay, you know, it's the basic one. If you've seen like any of the other previous, like, I compare a lot to like Last of Us 2, which is like, oh, it's a revenge story. Like, oh, okay, and it feels weird, like, oh, revenge stories are pretty much the only thing that's driving this, but it's all right. And like you're defending your town against the Mongols and all that stuff, and you know your uncle gets captured and you have to rescue him. And I'm like, okay, that's a good enough you know plot device for me to go through this game. In the beginning modes, it is kind of a little bit slow, but once it picks up, once you get more powered up and more gear and all that stuff, that's when the game gets really like
faster, get interesting.
Yeah. The camera, for me, it's weird only because I thought they would have fixed. I'm not fixed, but like that should have been a foresight into this, making a game like this, because the camera's kind of a big deal in these types of games. Where I think of games like what do you call it, Arkham, where the camera was really good for that one, because you can tell where people were, and if there was a danger coming away, at least they would like snap the camera to a danger. No, the camera's completely free. So like when you're fighting like multiple enemies, if it was like one enemy, that'd be a lot easier. But if you're fighting multiple, it gets pretty hard to control the camera. You know, if someone's off screen and you don't recognize them doing like an unblockable attack, yeah, you might get hurt a lot. You know, I feel like something that they probably could have fixed like in a patch, probably like soon. I don't know if soon or like if they keep it that way. But for me, like I got used to it. That's the thing. I was like, okay, at least I know how to, you know, how this works, and you know, it's very, I would say, Souls-like, the type of combat where it's like, or what would the other one was, Sekiro, where it's a lot of like, parrying, breaking people's guards and all that stuff, and I like that. That's pretty cool. I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, it does, for the most part, if you don't like this type of game, you will pretty much get bored. There's a lot of repetition in this game. If you like don't like doing side missions because it doesn't further it, but I like doing side missions. That's the thing. You probably won't like the game because there's a lot of extra stuff to do in this. But I'm trying to think like what else I actually kind of don't like, but there's a lot more I like than I don't like in this game.
I know the scenery of that game is beautiful.
Oh man, graphic wise, this is like, yeah, it is really really good. It is a really good looking game. Oh yeah, well another thing that like it's a little tiny pet peeve of mine, but really it doesn't ultimately add up to anything. But there's moments inside this game where you're in like the bamboo lands, and bamboos going out the floor. It looks really cool, but again, this is like the small nitpick, but like you can't cut them down. For me, I'm just like, damn, it would look really cool if you're fighting someone inside the bamboo land, and like you're swinging your sword, and the bamboo comes off, and it looks cool like that. But I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they couldn't program everything into this game. And even then, if you go in it, you can just walk past through it. I'm like, oh, these aren't even solid. But yeah, the scenery for this game is really great because they picked a real location of Tsushima. You can see the grass moving, and it just looks really really nice. So the whole game, the whole point of the HUD for this one is the wind. You follow the wind to your next location. As a HUD way or a map system of that, that's pretty cool. I really like that. It makes it more like, you know, immersive. And I've never played a game where I used the, you know, photo mode this much. I use it like, you know, every like couple minutes. I'm like, oh, that looks like a really cool scene. I'm gonna pause the game and then, you know, take a cool looking picture with that. I like the customization too. The different types of outfits you can get. Like you can start off with like the traveler attire or the samurai armor, or like the wandering ronin type of, you know, character, and then you know, different hats. for the most part, only the armor would be like the little boosts of like of health, or like, this type of clothes makes the map better for if you want to search. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But little stuff like the headbands, the masks, or the hats don't really give anything extra. Which I feel like they should have added a little bit more for the hat stuff. But hey, if it's the armor, that's still good enough for me. And like, at least there's some moments where you're just like, wow, that's pretty cool. And there's like very heavily influenced by Akira Kurosawa films, if you've seen any of the Kurosawa films. But that's, to me, is like, it's a well-made game. There's a lot of fun to be had in this game. The combat is really, really good too. The way you can switch between stances is really fun. At first, it feels like a lot of stuff. They give you kind of like, by right now, I'm close to the end of the game. Whoa, the police are here.
Yep.
They give you a lot of stuff, and it just like inside Assassin's Creed, I have a bunch of items and stuff. I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right, I have that. I forget that I do. And you just throw it and like, oh, okay, cool, I can now use a smoke bomb, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I have a smoke bomb. I guess I really, really like this game, and the art direction is really nice. The voice acting is good if you are playing it. At least I played all of it in
in English.
No, well, I played a part of it in English, and again, English is not bad, but the Japanese dub is what really sells it, because it feels
dub. Why you say dub?
Japanese. That's technically a way to say it. Japanese dub, because it would be dubbed technically, because this was made in English.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but they say like the mouth movements is like.
Yes, that's what I feel like. As like, again, more a little bit of nitpick. Like, if they were to do it like in Japanese, they should have at least moved it to what the Japanese say. But again, like, I don't know. They wanted to make it, and I'm glad that they even had that as an option to put it as Japanese, to make it feel more authentic. But yeah, I really like the game though. It's very true to the for what they're trying to show you, which is like, this is what samurais did, and there's still a bit of the mystical stuff in there, which they do. And with that too, I've watched like a lot of samurai films in between. I was playing it, I'm just like, you know what, I kind of want to watch all these samurai films, which I did. I saw Seven Samurai.
The remake?
Is there a remake? I know there's an anime.
Not the anime. I'm off on the freaking. What's that? No, that's the Magnificent Seven. Never mind.
Magnificent Seven is a remake, though. Technically,
I know.
It's the cowboy version. The more close thing to a remake would be 13 Samurai. Or 13. There's 13 Samurai. Also, I think it was one of my favorite ones. Only because the guy who made it was Takeshi Miike, the guy who made Ichi the Killer, and JoJo's live action, Phoenix Wright live action. He's made a bunch of movies, but that one was like, to me, it was the most action filled, and that's what I like about it. And like the last hour of that movie is just not straight up pure samurai action sword fights, which is really good. But Seven Samurai is an Akira Kurosawa film, and you'll be hearing his name a lot because I watched a lot of his older stuff. It's from the 1950s. It's like 55 or 56, and you can tell that it's from the 50s, because what they constitute as like a samurai sword kill is like just using 1 inch of the blade into someone's stomach, which I'm like, that would kill him? Okay. It's a long movie. It's 3.5 hours long. So I suggest, like, if you wanted to watch that movie, take an afternoon off, because that's going to be a whole day right there. So yeah, the basic story of that one is like, so town's about to get attacked by some bandits, and people want to round up some samurai, and they do. They round up samurai to help protect them, and you get to see the characters. I feel like this would have worked better. I know it's like now saying like a 50-year-old movie, like really now you think it would work better. Like no, I think it would be a lot easier if it was like a show or something, because you get to introduce the samurai and all that stuff, and then when the town attacks, it feels like it's building up to that. But I still liked it a lot, because there's some stuff in there like you don't think they would have put in a 50s movie. You know, they actually make one of like the samurai guys like really like just an asshole. He's just like really loud. He's kind of annoying. He's laughing at everything, making fun of a lot of people, and he's really cool. He's one of my favorite characters in that movie. They also give him like a tragic backstory too, so it's like it's very anime like for me at least. It's like a lot of people consider this like one of the best, just movies in general, because of how it just influenced a lot of people. It's just like Quentin Tarantino's favorite film. Scorsese loves this film too. So they drew a lot of like inspiration from that, and you can see like how again like it just influenced cinema too, because the whole beginning of like the reluctant hero, I don't think was like a real thing until this did it. And also no one else has really. They said like this is the birth of the action film, at least the modern action film. Because like they were doing stuff that no one else was doing, of like slowing down the really dramatic parts and introducing the characters, as real people and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I like that movie. It's just really long. The other one is Blade of the Immortal, which is again made by Takeshi Miike, and this was also an anime right here. But the whole premise of this one was it's a samurai who's got like worms inside him, or he's eating just worms, and now he's immortal, and now he's off to fight people who killed his clan like a long time ago. And it's alright. I liked it enough. It was fun, because I haven't seen that type of I haven't seen that introduce this type of like cool superpower into like a samurai movie. And then I also saw Rashomon, which is the one earliest of the Akira Kurosawa films. That one I cannot say I would recommend as much to people. It's just a little too arty and weird. The whole basic premise of that one is like a guy comes across these two people, and they retell their story of like what happened between like a princess and the guy who's protecting her, and it's like different accounts of what happened. Again, it's weird. I wouldn't recommend it as much as others, but I still like the fact that it was something different for that time. My favorite one that he made though was Yojimbo. I saw it's a 60s one. It came out in 1961, and that one right there is I think he's best, and the best Akira Kurosawa film. I know it's like weird to say because people like Seven Samurai more, but this one was like really really good, because it's about like the samurai who comes into a town, and yes, there's two different warring factions, but he plans a way to have them fight each other, and he's secretly taking down both of them, which is really cool. Yeah, I like that one a lot. A lot of them are the same guy too. He also made a sequel to this one called Sanjuro, and this was also like the inspiration for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which I also watched like a long time ago. I mean, I think that's still a good movie, but this one definitely was the one that people copied from. Let's see, and the last one I saw was The Hidden Fortress. And that's the movie that inspired Star Wars, basically. George Lucas saw this and was like, oh, I want to copy this same style of movie, which is like a guy's helping a princess. And yeah, I thought it was good. Not as good as the other ones, but I still think like this works, as a watchable movie. And I don't know if anyone else saw this. There's a video essay online by Every Frame of Painting, who doesn't make videos anymore. But he talks about how Akira Kurosawa makes his films, and he likes to include a lot of motion in it. So like either if it's the background or like huge crowds of people, it's visually interesting to see, which I can understand why he did it. And that's how like you see there's an Akira Kurosawa mode inside Ghost of Tsushima where it's black and white and scratchy, and it feels like like it was made back in that day, which is kind of a cool thing. Like I like that right there. I only played in that mode for like 10 minutes, which I'm like I kind of want to appreciate the color for this game. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I saw. I saw a bunch of samurai movies. I'd say out of all of them, if anyone wants to, people should watch Yojimbo, 7 Samurai or 13 Samurai, which is the good ones. But yeah, we will see you all next week, which is in August apparently. Let's see.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. If you all want to follow our Twitter, it's at TDPOTI Podcast.
Yeah.
Go to mine individually at Joe Manuel.
Go mine individually at Broke Hexagram.
Go to our Facebook, facebook.com/the dead pixels of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to like the page. We haven't had a like in a while, but hey, maybe someone can. Huh?
Yeah.
I also get a lot of notifications of Facebook telling me like, oh, you should boost this post. I'm like,
Well, unless they give us free stuff, then yeah.
I know, that's what I think. Like, it should be a lot easier to do this. But go to our Spotify, the Dead Pixels Unit. If you search us up on Spotify or any podcast application, we should be on there, including Apple Podcasts, which is what I use for the podcast. Go to Stitcher. You can hear us on Stitcher and watch us on YouTube too. It's just youtube.com/deadpixelsinternet.
Woo!
It's weird only because I saw we have older videos on there other than the podcast, and I'm just like, oh man, I remember that recording outside in the just doing after vlog podcasts. That was like a thing of the past. You haven't done that one in a long time. And also the camera quality on that was really, really bad.
Yep.
Because a lot of it was like on my old ass phone, which shot like at 4 megapixels or something like that. Yeah, go to that. Just go to the YouTube page where we have the video. Wow, I actually caught up now. I've caught up with uploading all the videos of the podcast, which is pretty cool.
Yay! You did it.
I did it. Just takes a long ass time though. Oh, what is cool though is now is like, I like how the simplified they do like the end card. You can just, if you have your own, you can import it, or you can just do their standard one, which is one video here and 1 subscribe. And yeah, so yeah, go to that, and we will see you all next week. Hopefully we can bring something else. This has been
and the Dead Pixels Internet.
Ruin the picture since
2011.